I am Jeffrey Villadue, and in the Imjin War of Korea, a mod for Medieval 2 Total War Kingdoms. I have made in the past a preview of the mod, and last year I also posted a custom scenario for an online battle made by the one and only Paladin Bob. A fantastic scenario. All his scenarios are fantastic scenarios, but this one was of the very epic Battle of Donai from the Imjin War of Korea. Here I will show you some snippets from a campaign as the Great Ming Empire, which is a faction with the greatest variety of units. The Ming Empire has a lot of different gunpowder units, including some weird and wonderful artillery. So it is a faction I imagine everyone would want to play. They have a great starting position, and they even start with some 40 settlements. That sounds amazing, but there are only 7 playable factions in this campaign, and some of the other factions also start with a ton of settlements and also start with a ton of free cash. I am playing on very hard, and the start of the campaign is easy. I only had to worry about taking some rebel settlements. There is a little bit of info about the Ming Empire you can read. The mod is a Chinese mod. Some of the text has been translated into English. Sometimes you get these events with an option to click yes or no. In this case here, I suppose it does not matter what you click. It says the campaign script has been activated. You have the option to agree to a garrison script in exchange for some extra cash. I have opted out of this. Here is our capital, Jingxi, with the Ming Emperor, whose name I cannot read. I was hoping to translate the names, but that project is on hold at the moment. I may get back into it if I can find the time. You can recruit an amazing variety of units in Jingxi, but only here. None of these units you see here can be recruited anywhere else. In the other places you get mostly militia units, so losing your capital would have a devastating effect. I will skip straight to game turn 29. The Japanese have invaded Korea, and in just 5 game turns they've managed to conquer half of Korea. They have 4 full stacks now besieging the Korean capital. I assume the Korean king is here, and I have just landed with perfect timing a Chinese full stack with the best units in the Ming Kingdom to reinforce the garrison. There are 7 stacks here, and this promises to be the mother of all campaign battles when the Japanese attack. Here is the nearest of the Japanese armies. It has a lot of infantry, ashigaru and samurai, with gold and silver chevrons, you may notice. Here is the 2nd Japanese army, very similar, but they also have some cannon. Here is the 3rd army and the 4th army, all of them with chevrons of experience. Here is the Korean army reinforcing the garrison. It looks like consisting mainly of militia units. And here is the garrison, just a half stack that includes militia and what looks like the Korean king. So, the capital must not fall. The Mongols collapsed when their Khan died earlier in the campaign, just a few game turns ago, so the Korean king must be saved. Defeat is not an option. At the bottom is our army, some of the best units in our kingdom. The fate of Korea is in their hands. So here is the view from above. And the Japanese attack on their turn. The odds are very much against us. If the Koreans can hold the walls, we can win, but of course I'm not commanding the garrison, so it is up to the AI to put some clever defense against the AI that will put on a clever attack. Let's hope that the AI defense is more clever than the AI attack. So here are the armies. Here is the Korean garrison headed by the Korean king. Here are the Korean reinforcements. As I said, they're mostly militia. They don't have many chevrons of experience, if any. Here's a reinforcing army on the left. This is our general. He's just a general. He's not a faction member. He's a very low-level general, although he leads a very good army. Here's the first Japanese army with lots of silver and golden chevrons. Here's the second army. It also has some artillery. And here's the third army. I cannot read the names of the Japanese generals. And here's the fourth Japanese army. They have about 2,300 men each. So nearly 10,000 men in between them, full of golden and silver chevrons. They also have some katana cavalry. They have some teppo units. They have katana samurais, and also have some artillery. There are some 14,000 men in this battle. This is probably the biggest campaign battle I've ever played, and in fact the battle would not launch until I put most of the graphics at the lowest settings. So you can see the four armies, the minimap on the upper right. Here's our army now coming into the battle map, and that was the reinforcing Korean army. Here is Hanseong, the Korean capital, and I am going to attack the army you see on the left. Here is the Korean palace, the palace of the Korean king, and the palace plaza is the place that the Japanese have to take. Here's the view from above. Here's our army. It's coming in. You can see also the Korean army in the far distance. You can see it on the minimap. Here's again Hanseong. That is the direction we're going to go. We're going to attack that army in front of us. So at the moment, the Japanese are about to start bombarding the walls of Hanseong. Only the gates are distractible, the walls are indestructible. The AI doesn't know that, so it's going to waste a lot of time bombarding the walls. Most of the gates will actually be torn down, but it will continue firing at the walls, not realizing that the walls are indestructible. So we brought first our cavalry close to the enemy lines. We had plenty of cavalry. And we're starting breaking some of the Ashigaru that were on their side. Fortunately, the AI is very passive. While it is bombarding the walls, it is very passive. So that's very lucky for us, because they are not skirmishing in our way unless they are being hit by our men. So we've created this massive tertio here, this kind of like grand Spanish tertio of some sort. And we are just hitting one unit at a time. Here I made the very big mistake of charging with my heavy cavalry the rear of a samurai unit. The samurais lost maybe a couple of men, they weren't really phased. And our heavy cavalry, triple silver chevron cavalry, actually broke. This is the first time I see silver chevroned cavalry breaking after attacking the rear of an infantry unit. I have not seen that before. And especially lancers. I mean, heavy lancers, I just don't get it. Anyway, that was a first for me. And so now we keep hitting at the enemy units one at a time, and only the units that have been hit by gunfire come our way. And then they get fired by our entire army, so they get routed. So here we routed some Yari samurai, it would seem. So that's an excellent unit to rout. And also we routed some katana samurai. These are the Japanese heavy cavalry that I was talking about before. Very cool looking. They also have like snow and ice on their clothes. They look much better when they fight in the summer. This is a 12 turn per year mod, so every month gets a turn. And it only has about 2 months of snow, but unluckily we're fighting in the snow now. And one of the enemy cavalry units has now attacked our skirmishing cavalry, and we managed to break them. We have already killed their general. I didn't get to show that, it didn't record that. So we killed their general, but in the process of killing their general, we lost a lot of our cavalry, because the katana cavalry the general has as bodyguard is extremely deadly, and it was golden chevroned. So we lost a lot of cavalry trying to kill this general. And so here's some Naginata samurais as well, and here's their artillery. We are now charging the artillery, having killed the majority of the enemy units here from this army, and the remnants of the Japanese army decide to approach closer to Hanseong, and they go into Hanseong, so we're just clearing up any of the Japanese units left on the field, covering the move of the Japanese army into Hanseong. Here's one unit that's been left hanging about. It's an Ashigaru unit, so we double teamed on it with cavalry, and the Ashigaru broke. The rest of the Japanese units have gone into Hanseong. These ones have been routed. Now you see one unit, the last Japanese unit, is going into Hanseong on the side. On the other three sides, the Japanese continue firing up the walls. They haven't gone into Hanseong. Oh no, I think on one side, the Japanese have actually gone already into Hanseong, so we are pressed for time. Unfortunately, one of the Japanese units that had gone in came out and decided to go and guard that bridge to stop us from going into Hanseong. Excellent move by the AI, amazing. And we deployed our army to fire at that unit with our firearms, and so what did the AI do? It charges this unit at our gunpowder infantry. Very, very good play by the AI. It's almost human. Very, very good. And so now these samurais, they only lost 3 men from the gunfire from our entire army. They're charging our army. They're charging our gunfire, gunpowder unit. Fortunately, they were routed. They were attacked in the rear by our cavalry. And so now we put our army inside Hanseong. The palace is already under attack. And I was just checking what's going on, and the enemy, they sent these Yumi samurais, these archer samurais over. There are only about a dozen of them to delay us. Another excellent move by the AI. The rest of the, there are 2 Japanese armies, I think, already inside Hanseong, and at least one of them is attacking the palace at this moment. So we really have to make a move. So I charged these guys with my cavalry, eliminated them. And here is one of the armies attacking the palace, and you can see the flag of the Korean king there. Is defending, this bodyguard is defending the palace against the entire army of Japanese. This sounds terrible. So at this point I thought timing is of the essence here. So I sent the one cavalry unit that still had some gunpowder, so I had 2 gunpowder cavalry units. So I sent one of the heavy cavalry units that I have. These guys, they're melee cavalry at the moment. I thought they were lancers, but maybe the lancers were broken, they've taken out the swords. And there's also a gunpowder unit here, this one. They still have some gunpowder left. And so I just rushed them in panic to save the Korean king. And so they're firing at this concentration of Japanese units. Some of them are Ashigaru, so I'm hoping some of the Ashigaru will break from the gunfire. And indeed, they started breaking. So you can see the Ashigaru started breaking, and along with them, some of the samurais also broke. And so we saved, for the time being, we saved the Korean king, and we're taking these guys prisoner. Now, you saw this action. This is like less than 30 seconds so far. And maybe here I'm taking these guys prisoner. Maybe the whole thing here will last about 60 seconds. Now we killed one of the enemy generals. That's great. So the Korean king killed one of the Japanese generals at the gate of the palace. And just as I was running after those routed units, this whole thing lasted for about 60 seconds. Look what is happening at the other side. My army that was taking position here in this crossroads has been attacked in the rear by an entire Japanese army in 60 seconds. I mean, these guys were parachuted in place. I don't know how they ended up here. I really don't. I mean, I had gunpowder units on the walls guarding the rear of these streets, and so they couldn't have come from the rear, they couldn't have come from the front. I mean, how did these guys get here? I mean, they fell from the sky. I don't get it. And so they just appeared in the middle of my army, and they're just cutting everyone down because I have a lot of gunpowder units and they're useless in melee, and I have some spearmen to guard the gunpowder units from cavalry attacks, and they're no good against the katana samurais, and they're being cut down to pieces. So here's another one of the Japanese generals. Another one of the Japanese generals has been slain. Having destroyed most of my army, this Japanese army is heading for the palace. So here's again that Toyotomi clan general, the Japanese general, has been slain. And here's that melee in this crossroads here, this central place in the city. Somehow these units just materialized out of nowhere. They fell out of the sky. I don't know how they got here. I had Maslok units guarding the rear entrances to these streets. They somehow turned up here out of nowhere in the rear of my army, obliterated the entire army. There are still a few men here fighting, but basically the entire army here got obliterated. And I lost so many good men. And so now they've made it through, and they are attacking the palace. And you see my army has been wiped out. All I have left at this point is about 20 matchlock guys, and they are firing at the gate, the units that are on the gate. We also have some cavalry, but I have no melee infantry now. I have just one spearman left inside the palace from a unit that got obliterated. He managed to route into the palace and to rally there. I have plenty of cavalry still left, so that's one good thing. And I have a couple of matchlock units on the walls, and just these 20 matchlock guys here in the rear. And the matchlock guys are firing at this army that has now gathered at the gate of the palace, the Japanese army, and they are breaking the Ashigaru one by one. Now, the Japanese have one more army that they have not committed yet. There are 2,500 men here. If they come into the city through that open gate, the gate is open, then we're lost. And I'm just hoping that that army has backed out and it will not come in. So we are fighting the army that's already inside. So we already destroyed 2 armies. This is the 3rd Japanese army, and the first one was destroyed by the Koreans. The second one was destroyed at the gate by my cavalry, and now the 3rd army here that obliterated my army is having its turn. So we are routing those units with the gunfire from those matchlock guys you see here, and I'm bringing another matchlock unit that I have on the walls. I have 3 matchlock units on the walls, so I'm bringing another one down. They were guarding the gates, but somehow the Japanese managed to get in unobserved. I don't know how that happened. And so I'm bringing another one unit down to help fire at those guys at the gate. We're routing most of those units, and my cavalry is taking them prisoner. The Ashigaru being routed, they have low morale, they're easily broken, but the samurais, you see, they keep fighting, they're not breaking. They're fighting at the gate. The Korean king has retreated very wisely back into the plaza and has left some of his guards to fight at the gate. And so the katana samurais are stuck there at the gate. And here I attacked them in the rear with some cavalry, and I broke some of the Ashigaru. But the katana are still fighting. The samurais are still at the gate, and now they're coming out to scare off my cavalry. So I have to retreat with the cavalry. I am running down the Ashigaru that I have routed. There are still 2 or 3 samurai units fighting at the gate, and here they killed some of my cavalry, some of my horsemen, so I have to pull my horsemen out because they've been killed by the samurais. It looks, however, like we have the situation under control. Basically, the Japanese at the moment have about 2 or 3 units in good order. These samurais here fighting at the gate. And it looks like the Koreans have about 3 units plus the general's bodyguard. And I have most of my cavalry still alive. And some of about 3 muscle units still okay, in good shape. But just notice here, this icon that fell down on the left, one of the gates looks like has been taken. One of the gates has been taken. I wasn't even paying attention. And there are about less than 3 minutes left to the end of the siege. The Japanese are still at the gate of the palace here. They have about 3 or 4 units in good order, all of them samurais. And they're being held up by one of the guard units at the gate. And I wasn't paying attention again. And here is the 4th Japanese army has swarmed into the city. 2,500 Japanese, half of them samurais. I mean, wow, this is so close. We still have a minute left, so still some samurais from the other armies are fighting here. There's this guy doing these dancing moves, and my men are admiring him as he dances about. And every so often he turns and kills one of the guys who are watching him. That's a little bit weird, so I attacked him with some of my cavalry and so on. Managed to kill him in the end. And so these were those Maslok units, those Maslok guys that had survived. About 20, now there's only about a dozen of them left. And that army has run into Hanseong, and here they managed to catch up with my Maslok guys. One of the Maslok guys that was inside have been run down. I saved them there with a charge from my cavalry. Here's some more cavalry. They're hesitating to attack my general, who is near that gate, because there are Maslok units on top of the gate, and there's about 6 seconds left, and the samurais are in the palace. They're in the town plaza, the palace plaza. Perfect, just perfect timing. How we saved this, I mean, that was so close. That was the biggest, closest battle I've ever fought in a campaign. So our army obliterated about 2 Japanese armies, 2 full Japanese armies, and got obliterated in turn by the 3rd Japanese army. And so here are the results. A lot of our men gained experience, a lot more men just perished. And stats again, the Japanese did well, the Korean king did decently, did reasonably well. So here again, the stats, our general got 2 chevrons of experience, some of the other units got 1, 2, or even 3 chevrons of experience. Most of the units, however, died. And this battle was a bit of a shame, such an elite army, we've lost so many good men. And we took about 2,500 Japanese prisoners, costing 13,000 gold coins. We're going to kill them all, execute them, because I cannot face them a second time. And there's no chance we're going to win another battle now that my army is almost gone. So I don't want to risk leaving them alive. Here's one of those events that I don't know what they say, so I cannot sign something that I don't know what it is, so I say no always. We have given a mission to attack one of the settlements held by the Japanese. It's a settlement on this island between Japan and Korea, a very strategically placed settlement, a very strategically placed island. We may attack it. We're going to get some good units, apparently, if we do take this settlement. So here's the situation in Hanseong. The Korean king is still alive. There are some reinforcements now. He's hardly got anything left himself, but there are 2 reinforcing Korean armies and our army. So at this point, probably have at least numerical superiority, if not qualitative. There are 2 Japanese armies outside. The Korean capital is under siege still. So hopefully the Japanese will not attack, or if they attack, hopefully we can defeat them. Now we have numerical superiority. And here's our army. It has been very badly mauled. We've lost a lot of good men. We have enough melee units to make about 2 melee units. We probably have enough men to make something like half a sword unit, half a spear unit. What a disaster. And we have about 3 or 2.5 Maslock units. So the Maslocks were doing okay. Most of our cavalry survived, but all the melee infantry perished in that battle. And so that was the end of that episode. Thank you for watching.